Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we are ready to guide you through the wild and wonderful world of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a baby kinkster, a seasoned pro, or just here for the entertainment, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us as we share our own wild, sometimes awkward, but always entertaining experiences and spill the tea from our combined 30 plus years in the private and professional kink worlds.
So grab your favorite flogger or wand.
Thank you.
And buckle up. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and who knows, you might just spit out your coffee.
Let's get this kinky party started.
Want more Pink Kink in your life? Join our Patreon and get ready for a whole lot of kinky fun and exclusive perks.
As a patron, you'll unlock access to our private Discord server where you can connect with fellow kinksters and chat directly with us. You'll also score adorable pink kink stickers and enjoy a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast packed with juicy tidbits we don't share anywhere else. Plus, get sweet discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and on our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
But wait, there's more.
More?
Our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get extras, such as bonus content and free digital downloads. Oh, and let's not forget, the Pink Standard of patrons will be recognized as producers on both the podcast and on our website, because we couldn't do this without you.
Pink Kink runs on the love and support of our amazing patrons, so join the party today. Visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click on the link on pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, William P., Claire, Lady Blooding, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Kat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Christopher, Brian, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Pumpkin Pie, S'more, Hacksaw, Devoted Knight, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Crash Override,
Kinky Bear, Swiper No Swiping, Barbie, Navigator Bard, Frost, Coffee and Chaos, Mr. Pillsbury, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Baby Squirrel, Lady and Lex, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, Ophelia, Sweet Caroline, Lady to Kitten, Cydia Lemon, Ben, Noir, Freddie Queen, Princess Ree, Missisive, Godex Bunny, Elysium Rose, Avelia, Gloria, Nora Mora Pora, Brix, Mistress Lycia, Wonder Chris, Chessie, and Manders. Well, good morning, Rara.
Good morning, Dara.
How are you feeling today?
I'll live. You know, you get to a certain age, and that's the only goal. Did I wake up this morning? Yes. Good. Excellent. Day's off to a good start.
Yay, it's a good day.
I'm not dead.
But then you have to actually get up out of bed, and that makes it bad.
Well, except I'm also of the age where my bladder helps inspire me to get the hell out of bed.
I have been of that age for the past 10 years, so that means nothing.
So it's like, as long as I'm alive and breathing, I can assure you I'm getting out of bed, because I really don't want to pee in my bed. Remember, that's a hard limit. Water sports.
That's a different level.
That is a hard limit.
That's a whole different level of being old. That's when you have to go to sleep with a diaper.
You know, the older I get, the more I'm starting to appreciate the concept. Because, you know, when you're sitting down on the sofa, and you've reached that perfect level of comfort, right? Your body's nice and relaxed and you're comfortable. All your food, drinks, remotes, electronics are in the exact perfect position. You're content, you're happy, and you have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I really understand why at that point you're like going, if I just had a diaper and I could just go and not worry about it, I'd be good.
Yeah, but then you'd have to sit in the wet. I don't think I'd like that, because then you get diaper rash.
Then maybe I would finally be motivated to get up.
That's just not comfortable.
How would you know?
I don't know. Something bathing suit and watching babies get diaper rash.
Yeah. So I've got an episode for today that you don't really get to just sit back and relax, because you're going to have a lot to contribute to this.
Oh, am I?
You've more recently been in this situation than me. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah. I just realized what you're talking about. You're right. Yep. Okay. Hit it.
Yeah. I mean, I I've tried, but it hasn't been successful so far. So today's episode is something that's sort of like equal parts terrifying and equal parts absolutely necessary. And it's basically during the dating process, when the fuck do you actually come out and tell somebody you're kinky? Right? And in my case, not only do I have to tell people that I'm kinky, I also have to tell them that I am polyamorous. And I'm not giving up diesel. So, like, I've got two things that people have to kind of go, oh, okay. And it's been rough. I haven't had a lot of luck. Now, granted, part of it is when I do tell people that I'm kinky, and their attitude is, oh, that's cool. I'm kinky too. I like a little spanky spank and some butt sex. And it's like, I don't think you and I are the same.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Oh my God. Like I had this weird, I don't know if I'd say epiphany, but just a moment that made me really chuckle.
You had an apostrophe?
Because I was talking to people about there you go, I had apostrophe. I was talking to people actually in the Patreon server, which by the way, you can become a part of if you join our Patreon at patreon.com/PinkKinkPodcast. For as little as $2 a month, you get benefits such as discounts on classes, discounts in our Etsy shop, updated information, a behind the scenes thing, and you get access to Dara and I regularly in our Discord server.
And Dara actually participates.
patreon.com/PinkKinkPodcast. All right, there you go. I got my spiel in.
Yay.
So I was in the server and I was talking to people about the fact that I had done a needle scene the other night. Just to continue, sort of, this is my training for my big birthday needle scene. So we're just figuring out like how many needles we could fit on my leg and stuff. And I was talking with Learning Curve about how we're going to make this all happen. And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, like I just did a little needle scene, right? Just like a little quick needle scene. And then I realized I did 50 needles. And like on what planet is 50 needles? Just, a little quick needle scene. And I realized maybe my perception is a bit skewed.
A little, considering
So-
I would think that the endorphin button, which is what, 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. That to me is bonkers. That would send me over the roof of holy shit, I can't believe I fucking did that.
Right. So with my perception, when people say, oh yeah, I'm kinky too, and I get excited, and then we discuss our kinks, and we are not the same.
No, not at all.
But I thought this would make a really interesting topic. And the truth is there's no right or wrong answer because there's no one size fits all. Dar and I, which probably will happen because, it's Dar and I, we'll probably have disagreements about when is the appropriate time to bring it up and how to bring it up. Because God forbid we should ever agree on anything. But we're kind of going to break it all down, give you like a decision-making framework, talk about different options, the pros and the cons for each option. And then hopefully by the end of this, you will have a decision as to what will work best for you. So I'm not going to speak for Dara on this, though I can probably guess what her answer is. For many of us, myself included, kink isn't really about a preference. It's not like we could just give it up if we met somebody that wasn't into it. It's really an integral part of our personality. It's tied to our identity, our mental health, and even healing. I mean, my second marriage, not that this was the only issue by any means, but when push came to shove and my ex said to me, it's me or the lifestyle, I went, lifestyle.
Well, yes.
Now, maybe if other things had been happier in our lives, in our marriage, I might not have made that decision or might not have made it as quickly as I made it. We could have come up with a compromise. We could have come up with something. But yeah, I made the decision, I think, I don't think he'd finished the sentence before I answered with the lifestyle.
Well, I mean, I had a similar experience with my second husband who basically, we've heard this story. We were in marriage counseling, actually sitting down with the therapist. I had recently discovered being a little and all that entailed, and was in the process of learning about it, embracing it, and just straight up going for it. Because at that point I was like, holy shit, I really am a little. This is great. This explains everything. It explains why I brought stuffies and coloring books on my honeymoon. So I was really into it at the time. And
versus sex toys.
Right? Oh God, I don't even know if I had any sex toys at the time other than the freaking vibrator. And I don't know that I even brought that. Well, anyway, we're in therapy, and he called the little side of me disgusting. He said the little was disgusting. And I looked at him, I looked at the therapist, and I said, it's over. We're done. I am not going to be with somebody who calls a side of my personality, a very important side of my personality, disgusting. Done.
So I guess, look at this. We agree. Can somebody write it down on the calendar? Dar and I agree. It's a very important part of our personality. It is part of our identity, and we could not give it up.
No. And I swore right then and there.
Agreeing already.
We've agreed like maybe 3 times. So I said specifically I think I told you about this afterwards. I said, look, next time I start dating, I'm not getting anyone who isn't in the lifestyle. I am never, ever, ever dating a vanilla again. I have to date somebody who's going to not only accept my little, but be like into it. And then I found a guy who was, okay, I think I started dating before husband and I had actually like truly separated, but it was fine. He knew about it. It was whatever. He was just like, okay, yeah, go. And I dated a couple of people, the one that ended up being a roommate for a bit.
Oh, yes.
And then there were some other people in between. And then, not in between him, because from that guy, from roommate, I went to Daddy J, who was like, yeah, I'm vanilla, but I'm really willing to learn. And then I told him about Little Space. I told him about all this other stuff. And he goes, oh my God, that sounds great. Teach me. I did. It turns out he's a natural daddy. And haven't looked back.
And I do have dating profiles set up on about, I think I've lost count because I set them up and then after a while I get disillusioned and I don't go back again. But there's a few that I have set it up on. And I started off, let's say, okay, Cupid, that was the one I really made an effort with at first. And I started off with just kind of a little hints about being kinky and wrote things like, if whips and chains excite you.
Yeah. I think I had that too, that exact quote.
Right. Stuff like that. And then it wasn't really working. So I kept the profile kept evolving and evolving till finally I said, if you're not into BDSM, don't bother. We won't suit. Just left it at that. Like I am at this point, have zero fucks to give. I am out. I'm just going to say it like it is.
Yeah.
But again, I keep running into people who either want me to teach them. And look, I am an educator, so teaching is fine, but I don't want to necessarily teach a partner, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. Some people just don't.
And I don't need a partner who necessarily is going to be my kink partner, but I do want somebody who's going to come with me to events, who's going to understand, who's not going to give me grief when I'm like, oh, be careful, I have bruises there.
Mm-hmm.
Or minds that I've now got my hands on a naked person because I'm doing kink with them.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
So it's, right, you need somebody who's not going to be, who understands too that, at least for me, not for everybody, but for me, the kink and the sex are separate. And so if while I may be touching somebody's privates, I mean, I touched a penis to put needles in it. So I do have my hands on another guy's dick. There was nothing sexual about it.
Yeah.
And not every person's going to understand that.
Miracle of miracles, we agree again. Because it's completely the same for me. Even if I'm touching your bits, it's not necessarily sexual for me because I am doing kink on your bits. It's not that I'm getting off and getting anything from touching your bits. It's just what's necessary to do for the kink.
So let's get into why the timing even matters. Well, I think first we can start with the fact that, especially for Dar and I, kink is not just a bedroom activity, right? It might involve protocols, power exchange, rituals. That's why we call it a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And there's relationship needs, your emotional, your physical, your spiritual. And for us, it is a completely non-negotiable component of being fulfilled and being satisfied and being content. I can't imagine kink not being a part of my life. I mean, I'm struggling right now because, I've talked about the fact that I have this pinched nerve. Well, it turns out it's a little bit more than just a pinched nerve. I've got a bulging disc. I've got a couple of other discs that are slightly bulging, one that's super bulging. Basically, impact is off the table for me for a while now, both giving and receiving. And I'm struggling of what I can and can't do and still maintain that kink identity. So it's completely non-negotiable for me. I can't just give it up. And one of the reasons is it is an absolute vehicle for mental health for me. When I can't be involved in kink, my mental health suffers.
Yeah.
2020, for example. So it's non-negotiable. And because kink is so often misunderstood and confused with abuse or trauma, right? Because people think that, oh, well, you're only involved in kink because of trauma. Or maybe you're hypersexual and that's why you're doing all this. So telling somebody that you're kinky can really put you at risk of judgment. What happens if, a lot of people you date are people maybe you meet at the workplace or you meet through friends or family. And now there's the risk that if you tell them you're kinky, they're going to out you.
Yes.
You're giving them power to accept or reject you. You're giving them, there's the fear of being mockery, of being made fun of being told, oh, you should go to therapy. If you're into that, there's something wrong with you. And the reality is that telling somebody you're kinky involves a lot of trust and vulnerability. And not everybody has earned that right to that side of you yet. But if you don't tell them till later, then that has its own repercussions, the own risks, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're telling them too soon, you risk judgment before trust is formed, or they may feel you may feel misunderstood. God, words are really hard this morning.
Take a sip of coffee.
You may feel misunderstood. I wish, but I'm trying to pace my coffee. I've only got so much left.
What?
I only allow myself one cup, so I need to pace myself.
Why are you only allowed one cup?
It's not good for me.
Okay, I'm up to 2, sometimes 3
to
a day.
Water. Okay, now look, it's a large cup.
Okay,
so it's about 16 ounces of coffee.
Okay, that's a difference. That's my entire day's intake because I do 8 ounces at a time.
Yeah, so I have 16 ounces of coffee.
Okay,
the rest of that's is a protein drink, so it's protein coffee.
Oh yeah, I've started doing that too. That's pretty tasty, actually.
It's proteinized coffee. It's quite delicious, especially because it's chocolate protein drink, so it's a mocha. Okay, now I got all excited talking about my coffee. Where am I in my notes? Here we go. All right. So if you tell them too soon, right, you might feel misunderstood. They may feel overwhelmed. You might scare them away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me rephrase that. I might scare them away.
You scare me, so I think this is reasonable.
But if you wait too long, you run the risk that they're going to feel deceived, or you may end up getting emotionally invested in somebody who's like, "Fuck this shit. I'm not doing it." Or right, you've now built a trust with somebody, you care about them, like Dara had with her marriage. And now they turn around and tell you there's something wrong with you if you're into this.
Yeah. He absolutely knew I was kinky right from the beginning. Asshole.
Well, and it hurts more, right? Like somebody you've just been on 2 or 3 dates with tells you there's something wrong with you for liking it. What the hell do you care? You have no power over me. But somebody you've been with for a while, but somebody you've been with for a while tells you that shit hurts.
That was...
As Dara has proven.
9 years. And then suddenly,
And you remember it like it was yesterday.
It was pretty traumatizing, not gonna lie.
So deciding when is the right time for you personally to reveal this is really going to depend on a couple things. Number one, what is your goal for this? Are you looking for an actual long-term deep relationship, or do you just need sex? And this is just a hookup, right? Because if you're just looking for the sex, you don't have to say a damn thing. Is kink a curiosity for you or part of your core identity? What is your emotional safety and readiness for possible rejection? If you have what is it? Is it RSD, rejection sensitivity
Oh,
disorder? Is that the right?
I'm not entirely sure. I definitely have that. It's
Right?
it's even like if you get criticized, like I made that rule of my mom is not allowed to say anything critical to me when I first wake up for the first 15 minutes after, because she would do that. I would wake up, I'd come out the door when I was living with her, and she'd say something that I needed to do, fix, or did incorrectly or whatever. And it's like, can you just give me like 15 minutes to get some coffee and not have to deal with you being that? But it's the same thing. And it's not even an actual rejection issue, it's a perceived rejection. Somebody could say something that is not mean in the slightest, and you take it that way.
So if you're not emotionally ready or feels emotionally safe for that rejection, then that is also going to have an impact on when you might tell somebody. And then, of course, there's your history, your trauma history, and whether disclosing your kinky feels powerful, empowering, ooh, one of my favorite E words, or risky. So all of that's going to affect when you might tell them. All right, let's get into the pros and cons timeline. So we'll start off with the obvious, telling somebody before or on your first date. I personally am part of the tell them before camp. You are going to know upfront, because for me, it cuts through all the fluff and it helps me filter out any wrong matches early. Since this is not something I am willing to give up, then I want to know upfront, are you okay with this shit or not? Because if you're not, then I'm not going to waste my time and energy on you.
I agree with you there. Again, this is like a crazy episode because, and I think it's because like for us, it's an integral part of our personality. It's like most of our identity. So if you're the type of person that is like, it's just a curiosity, I just do it for funsies, it's not like a huge big thing, then you may bring it up later. But for people like us, where it's primary, filtering out people that wouldn't match beforehand and putting that out there and being like, don't even bother if you're not kinky, that's I kind of agree that that's the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just about, I have minimal amount of time for dating as it is. And the type of partner that I'm looking for is somebody who's going to be willing to come to events with me.
Mm-hmm.
So why waste my time and why waste their time if that's not something that they're into or at least willing to learn about and get into? Right? I mean, God, this is going to sound egotistical, but I don't know any other way to say it. I'm a public figure at this point. If you come with me to an event, people are going to know who I am.
Right.
And so if that's something that bothers you, upsets you, intimidates you, then let's just save ourselves all the time and energy and not even bother. I get people who reach out and say, "Oh, wow, you're going to be at this event. I'm so excited. I finally get to meet you." I've had people who I'll make a comment on their social media post and they're like, "Oh my God, you commented? You commented, you saw this and you commented on it?" It's like, yes. I mean, look, folks, I know my shit stinks. Trust me. I've been in the bathroom with me. My shit stinks. I am under no illusion that I'm this great celebrity. But these are the comments that I get and the things that happen. And if I'm with somebody who is threatened by that or intimidated by that or uncomfortable with that, then any relationship I have with them is going to be over pretty fucking quickly. So let's just lay our cards out on the table and call it like it is. And no judgment if they say it's not what they want. For me, I don't care. You don't want that? Cool. You do you, boo, and I'm going to do me, and we'll just go our separate ways. No harm, no foul. That's what works for me. Their response to when I tell them shows me their level of confidence and authenticity. If they're not threatened by it, if they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's interesting. Tell me more. That tells me somebody who, when I come home from an event and start talking to them about it, their response is going to be supportive versus, oh, again, you're going to tell me those stories again?
Mhm.
Like, that's not who I need to waste my time with because, again, I have minimal amount of time. If kink is a deal breaker for you, more power to you. That's fine. I just want to know that upfront. And I will not judge you for thinking that. Now, I might judge you if your way to tell me it's a deal breaker is to tell me there's something wrong with me or that I'm nuts or I need to go into therapy or I need a lobotomy. If
Oh,
that's
that
your
one.
response to me, then yeah, that's an issue.
That one. For
But
sure.
if your response to me is just like you do you, we're totally cool, just not my thing, I'm going to be like, fine. I don't eat lima beans. It's all good. Everybody gets to do what they want. This is one of the reasons that I don't use vanilla dating sites. I'm hoping that already will help remove some of the people who might have an issue with what I do. I'm on OkCupid, which, yes, while that is a vanilla dating site, it's also known for being very polyamorous friendly. Because that's another issue, right? It's one thing for them to say, oh, okay, well, kink, that's fine. Similar to like what with Daddy J. I mean, you have your DDLG with him, but the electro, that's you don't really do that together, do you?
We used to, but not so much now. It's mostly just me and he. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's my assistant, and whenever we're at an event, I mostly focus on the person on the table, and then he takes care of the people coming in. If they have questions, they ask him. He explains things. So, but not necessarily doing it together to the person, I guess.
Yeah. So, like, if I find somebody who is into kink, but not, let's say, at the same level that I'm into, that's fine. That's not a deal breaker for me. I don't necessarily need you to do the kinks with me. I have enough people in my life to do them with. I would like you to come with me to events. God knows I could use a Sherpa to carry all my stuff. That'd be awesome. But just have the company and to share the stories with afterward would be really special for me and really help with the connection. But I don't necessarily need you to do the shit with me. But I do need you to, let's say, be okay that I am poly and that I do have another partner. And that other partner is going to come over and I'm going to not only see that other partner, I'm going to fuck that other partner. And you got to be okay with it and not threatened by it. So that's why I like OkCupid. There's, of course, also, I've been on Field, FEELD. That didn't last long because, again, that's a lot of the, oh, you're kinky. Yeah. Oh, you're super kinky. Really? You're super kinky. What do you do? Yeah, you and I are not the same. You and I have very different ideas of super kinky.
What do they think super kinky was?
Let's see. Anal.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that people think anal's kinky is what cracks me up. To me, that's just sex.
Well,
Right? There's anal sex, there's vaginal sex, there's oral sex. I don't consider, to me, the sex itself is not what makes it kinky. It's the, let's say, the power exchange behind it. It's what you're doing while you're having the sex is what makes it kinky, not the sex itself.
all right, fair enough.
Because, right, vaginal sex, vanilla people have PIV, and kinky people have PIV. So what makes their version kinky and their version vanilla? It's what's happening during it, not the sex itself.
Or DIV. Dildo and vagina.
Huh?
Dildo and vagina, DIV.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody call it that.
I know, I just made it up.
I've never heard anybody use that term. Oh, gotcha.
I know, because I made it up.
Yeah. Yep. So for me, I like to have it upfront. There's a couple of other kinky dating sites. I know we have a whole episode on it, and I'm sorry I don't have that memorized off the top of my head. You guys will just have to find it. I know that I've been approached by another kinky dating site app, and I'm waiting to hear from them about possibly doing something with them. but I haven't heard back from them. So hopefully maybe that'll be ready and available in time for this episode. And if not, just be on the lookout for it. So those are the pros. Now there are some cons in being upfront, and I've definitely run into some of these. One is for those who associate kink with sex. There may be this misinterpretation of being sex obsessed, which I wouldn't say that I'm sex obsessed. I like sex as much as the next person, but I wouldn't call it like obsessed. There's definitely other things I'm obsessed with.
Like needles.
You might be considered too much. Well, duh, all the time. But my answer to that is always, am I too much or just you too little or can't handle that much?
I like that. Are you too little?
There's the high risk of There's the high risk of judgment. Maybe you'll get ghosted, though honestly, you can get ghosted even with people who have the same interests as you. Or again, like the gossip, they'll out you to your family, your friends, if you're not already out. I'm lucky that's never an issue for me because of the fact that I'm out there. So go ahead, don't threaten me with a good time. They might think that you're looking for just casual sex because, right, if you're looking for kink, you just want casual sex. You don't know yet if they are even a safe person. Are they going to be discreet? Are they going to be respectful? Even if it's not their interests, how are they going to handle it? Are they going to be abusive towards you? I mean, especially, right? I'm going to get very gender specific here. So sorry about this. As a woman, we're often afraid that something we tell a man is going to result in us getting physically hurt.
Yes.
And because of the outside of kink, I don't find it so much within, I should say that people who go to dungeons regularly, I think fully understand kink doesn't have to involve sex because they see it. It's in their face. I hang out in kinky spaces with people who don't necessarily go to the dungeon. Their kink is at home with their romantic partner. And I find, not all by any means, but there's a bigger percentage of people who just associate kink with sex because of that. There's just that connection between the two. So as a woman, being out on a date with a man and now telling him I'm into kink makes me afraid, perhaps being sexually assaulted, because now he's got it in his head. If I'm into kink, I must be into rough sex. I must want it.
Yeah.
And he's going to provide it.
That is a big problem. And people do think that.
So if I can tell him before we ever meet up, and the reason, guys, again, I'm being gender specific that I can tell him, it's because I don't date women. So when I say things like that, I am talking about me specifically. It's if I can tell him before we ever meet up, then I feel a tad bit safer. But another con, and this is interesting, it's like you could miss out on somebody who might have been curious about what you do, but needed to feel more comfortable with you first. Or maybe their initial reaction is, ew, yuck. But then as they've gotten to know, if you wait and told them later, as they've gotten to know you and they see the kind of person you're like, they can go, well, wait a minute. If this person who I like and respect is into it, maybe there's something there. And maybe that could be something I might be interested in. Or I care enough about this person to want to at least keep an open mind and learn more. And if you tell them too soon, you lose that opportunity. So at this point, as far as telling them before or during the first date, some of the ways you can do this, if you decide to do this, is just to say, just so you know, kink is part of my identity. It's something that I absolutely need. But if that's not for you, I totally understand, no judgment. And set the stage for the fact that I'm not going to judge you if your answer is no. So please don't judge me because my answer is yes. When you introduce it, I would avoid dropping things like sadism or slave or, in my case, 302 needles. I don't. I mean, even I might say that I'm into needles, but I'm not necessarily going to get into the specifics of that unless they now ask questions. Because if they're asking questions, I'm hoping it means they're open-minded. When I've had people come back and say, oh, I'm into kink too, I like a little spanky spanky and anal sex. My response to them is, oh, well, I enjoy rope suspension and needle play. And I leave it very like blank. I don't even mention impact play because in their head, impact play is spanky spanky. We're not going to talk about the blood play paddles I have. We'll start off a little smaller. Um, and just try to showcase what I do like without going into such scary specifics. Because again, if I don't want to be judged on what I like, I should not be a hypocrite and judge them for what they don't. And you can gauge their curiosity without pushing them to respond right away. Maybe they need time to think about it. And if somebody says to you, oh, all right, well, let me think about it, then don't take that as an immediate rejection. It may be very legit. Now, they may be lying and their plan is to ghost you. And my answer to that is, okay, did you want them anyway? Or they may be completely honest and legitimate about the fact that they just need time to process and think about it and do a little, maybe they'll do a little research on their own and it might be something that they're interested in doing. So anything else, Dara, that you can think of about pros and cons about telling before or on the first date?
I pretty much covered it.
All right. So the next option, of course, is telling after a few dates, like maybe 2 to 4 dates. So we'll go over the pros of that one. Well, you've got a bit more rapport and trust that's been formed between the two of you. You've had an opportunity to get them to know them better and maybe see how they respond to sensitive topics and being vulnerable. You're more likely for it to be still early enough in the process that if you do have to walk away because it's not going to work out, it's minimal heartbreak. You're not going to be walking around with a broken heart. Oh my God, he was the one and I've lost him. Right? If you're not into the same thing, then they aren't the one. And
Also, if you're going to be that dramatic about it, please, no.
And of course, you can always tell them by like framing it, saying, look, I like where this is going between us. I like this connection between us. And so I really want to share something important about myself and go from there. What are the cons involved in waiting this long? Well, of course, there's the old, they might react to you saying, well, why did you wait so long to share something so personal? You could become more emotionally invested with them, more attached to them. And if they're not accepting of it, you have a higher risk of not necessarily heartbreak, but maybe heart bruising. How's that? Heart bruising. And they may feel a little bit more pressured to respond positively that, yes, they'd be open to it, even if they're not, because they like you and they like where this is going and they don't want to say goodbye to you yet. So they'll agree to something that maybe they might not want just to see what happens. And then later on down the line, they're like, yeah, no, I thought about this and I can't do this. And now you've been together longer and you are more vulnerable and you are more at risk of heartbreaking. So tips for using this approach and for telling them at this time is you could say things like, connection and trust are really important to me. And one of the ways that I like to express that connection with people is through kink. Make sure you have offered to answer any questions that they have about it without expecting them to be enthusiastic, right? The questions they may ask may come across as judgmental. And instead of getting angry and upset, remember that for a lot of these people, the judgment comes from a lack of knowledge or from what they've seen and heard in books and movies and on social media.
Oh God, save us from people that base their kink on movies.
Right? Or from TikTok.
Oh, geez.
They may think to themselves, oh, I understand. So kink, you're basically fucking everybody everywhere. And use this as an opportunity to correct misinformation, to dispel those myths. Think about it. Even if the two of you don't work out because they just can't get their heads wrapped around what you do and they just really aren't interested, use it as an opportunity to be an ambassador for kink, to get rid of that misinformation and teach. Definitely watch for any potential red flags like being mockery, or they seem really, really discomforted with the discussion, or all of a sudden they've got these fantasies about dominating you in in the bedroom. And somehow during this discussion of these fantasies, consent is not brought up at all. And the things that they're saying about what you were into kink. Oh, well, what if we did this? And you're looking at them going, yeah, you're starting to sound a little more like a serial killer
Mhm.
than a kinkster.
That's not terrifying.
You want to watch out. No, so you really want to watch out for those. And this may be the chance where you kind of go, okay, maybe this isn't for me after all. So again, as I said, there's no right or wrong answer. There's what works for you.
I'm going to say if they start sounding like a serial killer, that's probably the wrong answer.
Well, I meant just when to tell them. I would definitely say if they're sounding like a serial killer, that is absolutely the wrong answer.
Right.
Your next potential option is to bring it up after you're sexually active with this person. Maybe for you it feels natural to bring kink up as an extension of your sexual exploration together. And you can ease it in with things like, and I'm going to say these things because I know for a lot of people this is their kink lifestyle. For those of you who are more at the end, Dar and I are, let's not judge. Okay? But you can ease it in with things like, oh, look, I have these handcuffs or I have these blindfolds. What do you say we bring this into the bedroom and add these to our sex life? You can, if you're into praise play, you can tell them, I really like it when you tell me that I'm a good girl or boy or pet or whatever. Or you start saying to them, if you're the one who feels in the dominant role, you can start saying that to them and see how they respond. Now, hopefully by the time you've gotten to having sex with them, you've already talked about turn-ons and turn-offs and have set boundaries so that you're not bringing something up that will make everybody uncomfortable and create problems. But it's an interesting time to start to bring it in, especially if your kink life is very tied into your sex life, right? Like, in fact, I would say if your kink and sex life are very intertwined, this would be the latest you should bringing it up. Because as somebody who had a relationship with very disappointing sex, you don't want, and I'm talking about my marriage, yes. You don't want that. You don't want to settle with the disappointing sex life. Sex is too integral to a relationship to just kind of go, whatever, I'll live with it. Of course, so what are the cons about waiting to this point to tell them? Well, obviously it could feel like a bait and switch for them. Why didn't you mention this before we had sex? Why are you just telling me now? Again, if the kink is required for your sex life, adding kink at this point is not going to be a fix-all, right? If the sex was lackluster, thinking, oh, well, if I could just add the kinky aspect of it, this will fix it. Not necessarily, especially if kink isn't something that they're into. Because here's the thing. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you tell them, they go, oh, okay, well, I'll try it for you. But their heart isn't in it, and it's not any good. It's not going to fix the problem. Case in point, my marriage. Again, I'm so sorry. Not that my ex-husband listens to this or my kids who will worry how I'm talking about their father. So I'm safe. Okay. I did try to bring at that point kinky stuff into the bedroom. I bought the blindfolds. I bought the handcuffs. I bought bondage tape. Here was the problem. It was a fucking goddamn sitcom trying to have sex. As he's taping my hands, the tape on my ankles falls off. As he goes to fix the tape on my ankles, the tape on my hands fall off. Like he didn't know what he was doing. His heart wasn't in it. He was only doing it because I wanted to do it. And therefore he wasn't putting in much more than the basic minimal level. So it just didn't work. It didn't fix anything. And if anything, it just made me angrier because I felt like he was mocking what I wanted to do. And he was joking. And if he would just be more serious about it, maybe this would work. And it just caused even more problems than we were already having. So adding the kink to it is not going to feel like it's going to fix everything. And it may make the other person feel insecure that somehow being who they are isn't good enough, right? Like you're worried it's the kinkster, and feel insecure. Are they going to make fun of me? Are they going to mock me? Are they going to make me think that there's something wrong with me? Well, guess what? They're also going to be insecure on their end. Am I not good enough as I am? Do I have to change who I am to be good enough? And that's not a healthy aspect of a relationship. If you do choose to bring it in around this time, frame it around mutual pleasure, right? Like, I've really enjoyed being with you. There's just some stuff that I have found adds even more connection or intimacy for me that I'd like to introduce and try with you, right? Don't introduce the kink like it's a problem you're trying to fix. This isn't about being dissatisfied. It's about sharing joy and connection and fun. And that's how you want to frame it. Now, again, this is not something that I personally would wait to bring up, but that's probably because once I'm at a point where I'm having sex with somebody, I've given them an intimate part of me. And if I had to walk away at this point because of the issues around kink, I would definitely get more heartbroken. So there's also telling around, let's say, the 6-month mark. You've been together now 6 months. So what are you telling them at this point? Well, if it's going well, which hopefully if you're still together 6 months later, this is it is going well, or else why are you still with them? You've got a strong foundation of love and care. Maybe you've discussed, you have shared values. You've probably had deeper conversations and established an emotional intimacy. You've probably already shared other vulnerable parts of your life with them. So this would just be one more vulnerable part of your life with them. They're probably more likely to approach new things with an open mind because of their connection with you. And if you've stuck around at this point for 6 months, chances are that they respect you and they care about your happiness. So they may be more open-minded about this. Okay. Negatives, of course, well, it can feel like a betrayal of trust. Why the hell did you wait this long to tell me this? You've built a relationship based upon a missing piece of a puzzle, and it's a missing piece that may never be found. And if you've ever been a person who put puzzles together and you put the entire fucking puzzle together and then you realize there's one goddamn piece missing and you can't find it, then you understand that frustration and that anger. I've wasted all this time putting this fucking puzzle together and it will never be complete. And you may have started to build up some resentment or boredom or discontent because you've been procrastinating having what you need. So you've got those issues. I would definitely at this point acknowledge the gap with them, saying, listen, I wish I had told you this sooner, but I really needed time to build trust in you and know that this was a safe place to share such an intimate part of who I am. Really emphasize your desire for trust and intimacy and be clear about what you want going forward. Do you want just acceptance of who you are? Do you want them to become an active participant in this kink with you? Do you want them to explore things with you? You know, maybe you're one of those people who you haven't been as, let's say, active as Dar and I, but you've tried in the past, you've done it, you've liked it, and you want to continue to explore kink, and do you want them to be a part of that? So that's kind of the pros and cons of the different times that you can talk to them about. So how do you know when you're ready to tell them? Well, I would take a moment and do some self-reflection. I think, and I've definitely found this the older I've gotten, the better I understand and know myself, the better my relationship is with myself, the better my relationships are with other people. And so I tell you this from my position as old lady. This is my old age wisdom. The better your relationship is with yourself, the easier. I also find this easier with other people because I don't have to think about my reactions or my understandings or my thoughts because I know them at this point. So the first thing I would have you really sit down and think about is kink a preference or is it a core need? Do you have to have it? Can you be satisfied in the relationship if you never have it? Now, Dar and I have both proven, based upon our past marriage track record, that it is a core value for us. We cannot go without. But that might not be the case with you, and that's okay. We're not going to judge you for that. Have you worked through any shame or fear you have about your own desires? I spoke to somebody the other day who is reaching their point in their kink journey now, where they're stopping and questioning what the fuck is wrong with them that they like what they like. And like me, what they like is needles with blood. And they needed time to go, is there something wrong with me for liking that? And so we talked privately because that I totally understand. I have had that conversation with myself a lot of times. I've actually had it out loud in the middle of an impact scene. For those who were around in my earlier days, I would literally say out loud when somebody would hit me, like, what the fuck is wrong with me that I like this? And I think it's important to understand why you like what you like and work through any shame or fear, because it is going to come up with this in the conversation when you're introducing it to somebody. And they ask you, well, why do you want to have this in your life? What does it do for you? So my ability to explain what I get from a needle scene, what I get from a blood scene, may help them understand not only me better, but maybe take away that shame. Like if I tell them that I like to make somebody bleed and finger paint in the blood, they might be thinking, and darn, I don't need your comments from the peanut gallery, that there's something that I'm a psycho and nuts because that's what I like.
I didn't say
I can
a
see
word.
from your face, you're going, well, yeah, I know, but your face spoke volumes. But for me to be able to sit down and talk about the fact that, at least from a bottoming standpoint, it's very much empowering for me to do it. When I can get through that and survive it and come out stronger at the other end, it's like I've done battle and I've won the battle. And I'm able to have, I can actually literally see how strong my body and my mind are because I did not give in and I conquered this. As the top, there's something very primal about it for me. The fact that somebody gives me that level of trust, that I can draw their blood, that I can do something to them that is going to make them bleed, and they trust me enough to do it carefully, to not risk their life, and that I won't take it too far. That's an intense, amazing feeling. So I'm able to explain all that. So it's less about, oh, you're just nuts, to, oh, well, okay, yeah, see, now you said something.
What? I said,
Dar.
I didn't say
Maybe
anything.
it's just I know you too well.
I said no words.
I speak Dara. I speak Dara, so I know what that sound was.
It was a laugh. You said something funny. Do you not want me to laugh when you say something funny?
Sure. That's it. Yeah, that's what it was.
Uh-huh.
Sure. Right? Are you able to explain your kinks in a calm, respectful way without dumping on them or getting defensive? Because if you get defensive, that's not going to help the situation. If they are attacking you about what you like, the problem is not you. The problem is them. So getting defensive makes it your problem, and you should never make it your problem. Are you going to be okay if the person tells you no? Are you going to be able to walk away? Or are you thinking, well, maybe I could give it up for them? Now, look, I laugh. My original rope sadist top, the one who got me into blood play, the one who got me into needles, decided to go vanilla. And all of us who know her are laughing to ourselves, and we all say, well, we'll see how long that lasts.
Have you heard from her? Because I would love to know how that vanilla life is going.
Well, the problem is I only talk to her through social media, so I've seen nothing on there about kink. She may have decided to go vanilla after all, but I just feel like this is not something that's going to last long term because I know her well enough to know that for her, it is an absolute core part of her identity. And so,
yeah,
I have to think about this.
I actually have thought about that, about what would it take for me to give up kink to the point where I would actually go vanilla. And I do have an answer. It's not something that I'm going to do now, But 5 years ago, yeah, I think I have the answer of what would it take to make me go vanilla. And it was when Daddy J and I were thinking about doing fostering, and we would be under a lot of scrutiny. And I that's when I would give it up. Or if I had actually like had a kid and we had to like drop out of the kink scene for a number of years in order to take care of the kid, because you can't just I wouldn't be able to go out as much if we had actually had a kid.
There's no reason you still couldn't have done the DDLG. You just would have had to adjust it.
In private, yes, I still would have done that, but it wouldn't have been nearly as much in public. I would have to give up risque. I would have to give up, honestly, I would have had to give up the podcast if we had been doing that at the time. Actually, were we? I don't remember.
See, and to me, I don't view it as giving it up as much as pausing. I think you might have paused it, and at such a point in time where you could come back to it, you would.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I don't know.
But I mean even temporarily,
possibilities.
Right. But that was what I figured out. I was like, yeah, in that case, I absolutely would have stopped for at least a little bit.
And I'm at a point in time where nothing would stop me. The most that would happen is maybe for health reasons, I couldn't physically do the impact or the needles and stuff, but I could still do the podcast, still do
the education part,
teaching and stuff like that, because there's other things I could be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing at this point that I'm willing to, that will be enough to make up for what kink brings me. So,
well, at this point, same, because
a couple of,
yeah.
Yeah. Right. So here's some ways to start the conversation when you are ready to bring it up. You can start with some soft openers, like, I want to talk to you about something that's really important to me. Or there's a part of myself that I haven't shared yet, and I think it's time. Or I trust you, and I'd like to talk with you about something that's kind of vulnerable for me. You could talk about it from a value standpoint, right? I find that power exchange brings me a sense of peace and purpose. Or kink helps me explore my emotional depth and feel deeply connected. For me, kink helps ground me and helps my mental state. That's what works for me, right? And when you are talking about it, be supportive to them. Their reaction may be initially like, oh my God, no. And then when they've had time to think about it, may have a different reaction. So if so say to them, right? Like, you don't need to respond right now. If you need time to think about it, I totally understand. If you want to come back to me later. If they do immediately walk away and say no, but then come back to you a day or two later, be graceful. Now, if they say something like, no, you're disgusting, you're awful, you're horrible, then I can understand. Even if they come back a day or two later, you might say, never mind, no, thank you. But if their response is, no, this is just something I don't want, but then come back a couple days later and say, I've had more time to think about it, I've done some research, whatever, I'd like to know more, then be open to that conversation. And understand people are allowed to change their mind. You were not always kinky yourself. So maybe this is a case of somebody, but you didn't necessarily know you were kinky till somebody said, this is what kink is. And you went, oh, now that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. But there's some stuff.
So give them that.
There's some stuff in my childhood looking back. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. But maybe that's the case with the person you're talking to, that there's stuff in their childhood that now that they know about kink, and now that they've been educated a little bit about kink, they can go, oh, yeah, I get it now. Right? Tell them, say, look, I have some resources I can share if you're curious. You could tell them to listen to Pink Kink. Just a thought, just saying.
It's a great resource.
And introduce them to all this, right? And let them know it's okay if this isn't your thing. And don't judge them for being vanilla any more than you want to be judged for being kinky. So just a couple of final thoughts here, right? The right time to tell somebody you're kinky is when you're ready. Not even just when they're ready, but when you're ready. And by I say meaning you're ready to possibly be rejected. You're ready to share that personal side of you. You're ready to be vulnerable, right? The earlier you tell them can save you time, but if you wait till later, you've built more trust. So both have risks, both have rewards, and one's not right and one's not wrong. It's just whatever works best for you. Here we go. Important. Ready? I'm going to say this twice because I really want you guys to understand this. Kink is not something you should ever apologize for wanting and needing. I'm going to say this again. Kink is not something you should ever apologize for wanting and needing. It is who you are. You're allowed to be who you are. There's nothing wrong with you for who you are. And if when you are talking to this person about being kinky, please don't apologize for it. Please don't apologize for what you want and need. First of all, you don't need to. But second of all, do you really want to be in a relationship where you have to apologize for who you are? Because it may start off by apologizing for kink, but it could continue from there. And you don't ever want that to be a relationship because you deserve a partner who sees and accepts your whole fucking self, kinkiness and all. So I'm curious from our listeners, I would love to hear back from you what you would do if you're in this position. When do you feel comfortable first sharing your kink with your partner? If you told them upfront one time and it didn't work, do you now do it differently or vice versa? How did it go when you shared it? Did it go well telling them upfront? Did it go well waiting to tell them later? We just want to hear what it is that worked for you because, again, Dar and I's experience isn't necessarily somebody else's experience. So the more people who can share their experience and their thoughts around this, the more we can give others ideas of how they can share it. So any final thoughts from you, Dar?
Well, actually, I was going to say there was a quote from a book that I have always tried to live by. And it's one of the reasons why I immediately, with my second husband, I was like, no, cannot do this. And it kind of ties into what you were saying before. Try to find somebody, you want somebody to love you for who you are, because of who you are, not in spite of it.
I love it. Yeah. As we talk about all the time, there's really no one way to do kink, but there is your way for you. And that deserves to be seen and accepted.
Well, make that number 4 in this episode that we agree on. We're on a roll.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to help us keep creating, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can also support our affiliates to benefit small businesses and us at the same time.
No extra cash? No problem. You can still help by spreading the word about your favorite kinky podcast. Share us with your friends, and don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Those 5-star reviews mean the world to us. And those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pink
and level up your kink knowledge.